Hey, what is up, everybody? I'm here to give you guys my TNA, Impact Wrestling, Global Force Wrestling, GFW, whatever they're calling this damn company now, Slammiversary, 2017 review, the 15th anniversary of Slammiversary. Um, and I know it's like I've entered Bizarro World. I'm actually going to be reviewing a TNA, Impact Wrestling, GFW, whatever the hell they're calling this company now. I haven't reviewed a TNA Impact Wrestling show since 2016, earlier in the year when they had their season premiere on Pop TV. The last time, though, that I actually watched TNA Impact Wrestling was TNA Bound for Glory 2016. I sat down and watched that entire show. Didn't really find like it was really reviewable, so I didn't really care enough to review it. But um, and I was also busy with school and other things like that. But now I'm here. I'm actually going to be giving you guys my review of TNA, Impact Wrestling, GFW, whatever they're calling it now, Slammiversary. Um, and it's been a while since I've, sat down and watched this company. I'm just going to say now. So hopefully this company has improved um, since the time I've watched it. It's been a while, so hopefully it's improved. We're going to see some new faces and maybe some old faces, so that will be interesting. Um, as for this code itself, um, I don't even know what the code is, not going to lie, because it's been that long since I've watched this company. Um, the reason why I've decided to start watching it again was because I heard this company rebranded itself and, it completely changed um, the way it looks and rebranded it. So I decided to give this company another chance. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stick through this company no matter how bad it gets up until the end of the year. But if this company either if I just can't stand watching this company anymore, then I will stop watching TNA, Impact Wrestling, GFW, whatever they're calling it now. I will just completely be done with it. This is like, let's see, the first chance was in 2012. The second chance, well, actually, the first chance really was in 2010, but I wasn't doing videos then, so I was kind of off and on. The second chance really was in 2012. The third chance was in, so I was watching it from 2012 till 2013. Then I stopped, and then I started again in 2014. Then I stopped um, because it was pretty bad. Um, Started back up again like at the end of 2014, and then I watched it from 2015. Then I stopped in I was off and on in 2015, and then 2016 when it went under Pop TV, I completely stopped. I haven't watched it since really Bound for Glory, so this is I don't even know how many chances this company's got, but this is going to be the TNA, Impact Wrestling, GFW, whatever they'll call it. It's going to be their last chance. So let's hopefully they can make this last chance count. So I'm going to be watching this code um, or this show, and the way I'm going to structure this review is after each match or segment, I'm going to come on here and give my thoughts on it. And let's hope this show is actually good. We're going to find out. It's the 15th year anniversary. It's one of the only pay-per-views they really do now, so we're going to have to wait and see if this show is actually going to be pay-per-view of the year quality or just good or absolute crap, worst pay-per-view of the year. So we'll find out. Okay, so we had the show. Before that, it shows Lashley or Bobby Lashley. I don't know what his name is now. I know they've changed it a lot. And Alberto El Patron arriving because I did know about this match because of my last video, which you should check out right there. Um, and they're going to be unifying the Impact and GFW World Championships. It shows them arriving. And then it shows a great video package kind of going through the history of TNA, Impact Wrestling, uh, pretty much everything that they've done, since they've been around, talking about how it's led to this moment, talks about the overall card itself, how every title is defended. It shows the narrator really talking. I thought it was pretty well done and actually kind of got me hyped to watch this show. So let's wait and see how this show turns out. Okay, so continuing with the show, we had John West and Robert Flores on commentary. I've been listening to the show, well, but watching the show for a while and listening to them on commentary, and I think they've been doing a pretty good job on commentary. They even have like the special thing where like this owl flies to its nest for like an entrance. I thought that was actually kind of cool. Um, and the ring announcer introduces the president for different wrestling promotions, including Impact Wrestling. One of them was like Pro Wrestling Noah, Triple A. Because the first match is actually a match that has um, a bunch of tag teams from different promotions. So let me get to that match. The first match um, was a four-way Lucha Rules match for the Impact Wrestling um, and GF for the Impact Wrestling World and G.F.W Tag Team Championships. We had um, Impact Wrestling World and G.F.W Tag Team Champions um, Ortiz and Santana with Diamante, Homicide, and Conan, um, who are Impact wrestlers. And they all make up the Latin America Exchange, or LAX for short. And they defended the championships against Triple A's Drago and El Hijo del Fantasma. Um, so, and they also defended. So this was, oh my gosh, this is really tough because it's like, okay, so this was a four-way lucha rules match for the Wrestling World and GFW Tag Team Championships. Impact Wrestling World and GFW Tag Team Champions Ortiz and Santana with Diamante, Homicide, and Conan, who represented Impact. Triple A's Drago versus Triple A Drago and El Hydro del Fantasma versus the Crashes Laredo Kid and Graza Jr. versus Pro Wrestling Noah's um, Namucho Mo Moafuji and Taji Ashamoro Mori. I don't I I think that's how you say that. That's just really tough for me to pronounce. I apologize for that, but it was the yeah four-way Lucha Styles rules match. I'm guessing what made it is that you didn't really necessarily have to tag anybody. Anyone could just come into the match and do anything they wanted because that's kind of what happened. Um, and it's really kind of tough for me to really break down this match. I did enjoy the match though. I thought it had some really nice high spots um like Drago and Phantasma. They do like this they do like a flapjack into a code breaker. Um what else? I'm just trying to remember their names. Mofuji, the woman that was with LAX tried to like attack her from behind, but he ended up countering and pushed her off, and she took out everybody. So this pretty much was like pretty much a big spot match. Um, I even like the rolling to pile driver by Phantasmo. I thought that was cool. This was just really one of those fun matches that you really kind of have to watch. I believe um, one thing I'm forgetting to mention though is that Drago actually ended up botching. He was supposed to hit a splash off the top turnbuckle, but he slipped. I thought that was kind of funny. But eventually the finish comes when Ortiz and Santana hit the power bomb neckbreaker combo on somebody for the win. I really don't remember who it was, but this was a really nice high um, fast paced matchup to open up the show. It's just really tough for me to name moves. There was suicide dives going on. There was just a lot of high spots, and that's really what this match was. This would have been better if I had known a little bit more about these competitors. Um, but yeah, LAX retain the Impact World and GFW Tag Team Championships. Afterwards, Conan gets on the mic and pretty much announces that there's a new member coming to LAX. I don't know if that's going to be revealed on this show or what, but we're gonna have to wait and see. But overall, um, I thought this was a good, fast-paced opening matchup. Really, um, you know, was a good way to open the show. And LAX retaining the championships, I think, makes sense since they're the ones that are actually signed with G.F.W, TNA, Impact Wrestling, whatever they're calling it now. And yeah, I enjoyed the match here. I thought they pulled out some nice high spots in this match. So I can't really break down the match more, but it was just so fast paced that it's tough for me to really break it down. But that was pretty much the match. It was just a big spot, big spot, big spot. But I still enjoyed the match. I thought it was a good opening tag match. Okay, so next, Jeremy Borash and Joseph Parker backstage. Why is Joseph Parker back in the fold? I thought they finished that storyline off because we found out that he's abyss, but yet they are still putting Joseph Parker back. It's just really weird. Um, but yeah, Jeremy Borash is nervous because they have to go out and wrestle Josh Matthews and Scott Steiner in the tag match, and Josh Matthews, no, Joseph Polk is like, well, I found a loophole in the contract, and Jeremy Borash thinks it's going to be something where they're going to have to wrestle him with both hands tied behind their backs. But then Joseph Polk's like, nope, tonight's match um, is no disqualification. And Jeremy Borash is upset about this. And he's like, you're trying to get me murdered? Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner. And then Joseph Park's like, we're going to be fine because you'll always have to rely on old friends. And he's like, come on, let's go. And then, yeah, that was it. I thought this was actually a pretty funny backstage segment. And it was pretty enjoyable. Okay, so next, um, Austin Dillon, D'Angelo Williams, and Moose get interviewed. And pretty much I have to explain why this next match is happening. The next match is D'Angelo Williams and Moose versus Eli Drake and Chris Adonis. The reason why this match was happening was because they showed a video package for it, so luckily I know. Moose is the current reigning and defending Impact Grand Champion um, in TNA, Impact Wrestling, GFW, whatever they're calling this company. I think it's still Impact Wrestling from because they've been saying it all night on the show. And Moose talks about how he wants to defend and has defended the Impact Grand Championship all over the world. And Moose and Eli Drake had a match for that championship, and um, Eli Drake claims that he should have won that championship, and he claims that Moose isn't a real champion. So he got some help in Chris Adonis for backup, and they were beating down Moose week after week. So they challenged him to find a tag team partner to face him at Slammiversary. And around this time, D'Angelo Williams is currently a free agent. I don't know if he still is because the show happened only 2 weeks ago. Um, in the NFL. So he decided to come be a part of Slammiversary. They got it buzzing, you know, on ESPN News and stuff like that. And D'Angelo Williams talks about how his mom showed him wrestling when he was a kid, and he was hooked ever since. And he says that he respects wrestling. It shows him training to become a professional wrestler. So that's kind of what led us to this match. Moose picked D'Angelo Williams as his tag team partner, and he'd been trained. And Moose, D'Angelo Williams, and Austin Gill get interviewed. Austin Gill talks about how he's been really impressed to see what D'Angelo Williams has accomplished, and everyone's going to see what he's done training for this. D'Angelo Williams talks about how this is just like going into your first football game. You always are nervous, but you'll never forget your first game. And then Moose says that everyone's going to find out what their strategy is once the match happens. We had the match. And D'Angelo Williams were accompanied by Austin Dillon and Gary Barnage, and they got like a special entrance where they had some cheerleaders doing the Moose entrance. I love Moose's entrance and his chant Moose. I think that's great. And yeah, we had the match itself. Moose and Chris Adonis start off the matchup, and they start chain wrestling each other. Moose gets the upper hand on him. He gets a clothesline on him, and then Eli Drake gets tagged in, and he wants to face off with D'Angelo Williams, and he tags in D'Angelo Williams because Eli Drake's mocking his by doing some 1970s football stance, and D'Angelo Williams and Moose start chain wrestling each other, and D'Angelo Williams was actually pulling off some nice wrestling moves. I thought was actually quite surprised. He actually pulled off like a single leg takedown and arm drag. I was pretty surprised about that. And Moose and D'Angelo Williams had some WT moves on Eli Drake. They hit a double splash in the corner. Um, D'Angelo Williams hits a flip senton in the corner, and Moose hits like a wicked big boot in the corner, and it was pretty damn awesome. It actually was surprised me. I thought what was going to happen was Moose was just going to be doing all the wrestling, and D'Angelo Williams would come in towards the end, but that's not what happened. Then Moose gets tagged in, and Chris Adonis hits a knee right to the back on Moose. Moose hits a right hand on him, but Eli Drake hangs him up on the top rope, and Chris Adonis and Eli Drake get the heat on Moose for a while. He kind of gets, which I figured would happen since he's the one that's actually the actual professional wrestler. Chris Adonis hits a suplex, and Eli Drake tries to go off the top rope and hit like a moon, and hit a like a springboard type move, but he ended up slipping off the top rope and botching, which was kind of funny. So he ended up just hitting a atomic drop on him instead. Then eventually Moose hits a big clothesline on Eli Drake, and then he hits like a high cross body out of the corner onto Chris Adonis, which looked really damn cool actually. And he gets the hot tag on D'Angelo Williams. He was actually pulling off some nice wrestling maneuvers. He hits a shoulder tackle, and he was actually pulling off some pretty good wrestling, a drop kick. Um, and he was actually showing himself some great talent. Then he throws both, um, Chris Adonis and Eli Drake outside the ring. He hits a drop kick through the ropes, and then Moose hits a corkscrew moonsault from the second turnbuckle on the outside, and they go to bring out the tables and put one of them through the table, but Chris Adonis and Eli Drake attack Moose from behind, and they Chris Adonis um, bounces him off head first off the apron. Eli Drake throws D'Angelo Williams into the steel steps, and they start beating the crap out of Moose for a while. They go to put him through the table, and Eli Drake's about to jump off the top rope and go through the put Moose right through the table, but D'Angelo Williams pushes him off. Moose hits a pump kick on Chris Adonis, puts Chris Adonis on the table. D'Angelo Williams hits a frog splash, and he doesn't go through the table because, quite frankly, D'Angelo Williams is too light to really be breaking tables. And then he covers Chris Adonis, and Moose and D'Angelo Williams go over and win the match. And I enjoyed the match. I thought this was actually a pretty good tag team match. I had a lot of fun watching it. I was really surprised about the performance that D'Angelo Williams showed, because normally when they have somebody that comes out from outside of professional wrestling work a match, normally they either just don't take it seriously, or they don't really do much in the match until the end. But it seemed like D'Angelo Williams actually took this seriously, and he actually gave a crap, and he had to put a really good show in. And this is sometimes why I love watching wrestling. Sometimes is even though in other sports, sometimes it is nice to kind of see somebody from outside come in and get to work a match and live their dream. Sometimes it isn't nice though, but sometimes if the person takes it seriously, like D'Angelo Williams did, then it can work. Then afterwards, Moose and D'Angelo Williams grab Eli Drake, and Moose powerbombs Eli Drake through the table, and then that was the end of the match. But overall, I thought this was a pretty enjoyable match. I enjoyed it. Next match was a strap match. Ethan Carter III versus James Storm. The reason why this match was happening, because they showed the video package for this as well, is James Storm. I still can't believe he's still with TNA. He's been with TNA since the beginning, since day one, since 2002, and he's been he's been there since day one. He's been there for 15 years. It's kind of insane to think about it. He's the last. He's pretty much one of the last originals left in TNA, Impact Wrestling, G.F.W, whatever they're calling it now. and they talk about that, you know, and he talked about how he wanted to finally win the Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship because he hadn't held that championship since 2011. Um, and yeah, James Storm was on the verge of doing so. He was going to defeat Lashley or Bobby Lashley, I don't know what they're calling him yet, for that Impact World Heavyweight Championship. But EC3 cost him the opportunity. He hit him off the head with a beer bottle, and it allowed Lashley to retain his championship. So, EC3 said that he did it because he felt like that James Storm's pretty much the old guard of TNA. He's just old news, and EC3 what Impact Wrestling needs is a coder. Um, and he was on the verge of becoming number one contender to the Impact World Heavyweight Championship, but it didn't happen. So then Bruce Pritchard challenged EC3 to look at himself mirror and find his balls. So then he attacked Bruce Pritchard, um, and yeah, he pretty much said that he found that edge that he needed, and he ended up tying up James Storm. Um, you know, he ended up handcuffing him to the ropes and whipped him 31 times with a strap. And they had like a big contract signing, and EC3 says that he doesn't want to take out James Storm, but he says that he has to take out James Storm. So I like the build up to this match. And, EC3 even talked about it backstage, how the real men in this company are missing. The only ones that are left are him and James Storm. But he talks about how he's going to absolutely obliterate James Storm tonight. And afterwards, James Storm isn't going to walk out a band. He's going to walk out broken pieces. So we had the match itself. I thought this was actually a pretty good match up until the finish. James Storm and EC3. This was one of those strap matches too, where you have to win by pinfall or submission, not by touching the turnbuckles. And James Storm immediately starts fighting away on EC3, beats the crap out of him in the corner. EC3 tries to escape multiple times. James Storm whips him with the strap, and then they go on the outside. James Storm pulls him towards him, and throws him back first into the barricade, bounces him off the guardrail, and just really beats the crap out of EC3. EC3 hangs James Storm up on the ropes, and he chokes him with the strap while he's against the ropes. And then he hits a wicked clothesline on the outside, and EC3 chokes James Storm with the rope, and he tries to hit him with the strap, but James Storm no-sells it 3 times, and James Storm starts to hit his comeback. He hits a code breaker into a neck breaker, and then eventually he goes to go off the second turnbuckle. EC3 pulls the strap and sends James Storm crashing down on the floor. Then EC3 grabs handcuffs with the key, and he eats the handcuff key, and he goes to handcuff James Storm to the top turnbuckle, but James Storm counters it and handcuffs him to the top turnbuckle, and he whips him 31 times with the strap, which I kind of like that tied into the angle. And the referee unhandcuffs EC3. He goes for the last call super kick. EC3 tries to reverse it. James Storm ends up hitting the 1%er on EC3. He covers him. EC3 kicks out, and then they go on the outside. EC3 takes off the strap, but the referee tries to get it back on him, and then he pulls the strap, and sending James Storm crashing headfirst into the steel post. And James Storm acts really out of it afterwards. Afterwards, he hits the 1%er on James Storm, covers him. James Storm kicks out. Then he goes for another one. James Storm hits a last call super kick. He signals like he's going to go for another one. And then James Storm collapses because of the pain from the turnbuckle. So afterwards, EC3 hits a butterfly suplex powerbomb move for the win. And EC3 went over in this match. I was enjoying the match up until the finish. It really didn't make any sense that James Storm hit his finish and then just collapsed. I get that they were trying to sell the fact that he hit his head against the steel post, but EC3 no-sold the fact that James Storm hit the last call super kick and hit his finisher on him, and that just didn't really make any sense at all. I didn't really care for that. But I did like the match, though. I thought it was a pretty decent match. Just that finish really ruined the match. And yeah, I like that this was two former two Impact wrestlers that I actually where I knew both wrestlers. I watched them for a while. I had watched James Storm since about 2009, and I watched EC3 pretty much since he came to TNA / Impact Wrestling in 2013 at Bound for Glory. So you know, what's kind of weird though now is now that Dixie Carter kind of did appeared in WWE, it's kind of weird that he's still going to be Ethan Carter the third and everything. So that's going to be kind of weird, but whatever. Overall, I thought this was a pretty decent strap match. Okay, so next, Dutchman Kells backstage, and Kalen Garrett comes up and asks if he's seen Bruce Pritchard, and Dutchman tells like that's what this call is about. And apparently he said that he needed him an hour ago, and she said that she needed him 2 hours ago. And yeah, apparently he hasn't been seen all day, and it's the day of a pay-per-view. And Kalen Garrett's like, okay, well if he doesn't show up, we're gonna have to talk about this tomorrow. So I don't know where this is going, what they're going to try to set up here, but I guess we're going to have to wait and see because after she walks away, Dutchman Kell leaves a voicemail to Bruce Pritchard's cell phone. So I don't know where this is going, if they're going to have him get attacked by somebody, or if this was just a lame storyline we're never going to find out. So I thought this was actually kind of lame. It really wasn't needed on the pay-per-view. So I thought it was lame. Okay, so next, James Storm is being held by medical personnel after the strap match, and yeah, that was pretty much about it. Okay, so next match was a no disqualification tag team match. Um, Josh Matthews and Scott Steiner versus Jeremy Borash and Joseph Park with the Pope D'Angelo De Niro on commentary for this match, since he's worked by these guys on commentary. The reason why this match was happening was because I believe this was like around the time TNA moved or something. I forget exactly when this happened. It was like earlier in the year. They put Jeremy Borash on commentary with Josh Matthews, and Josh Matthews claimed that he was a better commentator, that if the ratings were just going to go down, Jeremy Borash, too, was someone that's also been with TNA since day one, hasn't missed a TNA show. And, Josh Matthews wanted him kicked off. They tried having like a big team match where the loser was going to have to leave TNA. Josh Matthews' team lost, but then eventually he was able to be brought back. And then Josh Matthews had dared Jeremy Borash to hit him on an episode of TNA. Jeremy Borash did show. So then Josh Matthews got Jeremy Borash suspended, but Jeremy Borash will continue to appear throughout the crowd and constantly mess with Josh Matthews while he was on commentary. And then eventually, Jeremy Borash was reinstated immediately because Joseph Park got him reinstated. And Joseph Park then made the challenge at Slammiversary saying that him and Jeremy Borash wanted to fight Josh Matthews. Josh Matthews tried to usher in a lame-ass apology, a BS apology, and eventually Josh Matthews picked the tag team partner, and he picked none other than Scott Steiner. And, he ended up taking out Joseph Park in an episode of TNA. And then Joseph Park, Scott Steiner would constantly send Facebook messages, video messages to Joseph Park. Joseph Park and Jeremy Borash was too afraid. But Jeremy Borash told Joseph Park to find his inner monster, find his abyss. And, he said that, my brother would never be a quitter. So that kind of was what led us to this match. It was actually a pretty entertaining build-up if you watch the video package. It's really funny. And we had the match, and this match was really damn fun. This was a fun match. This was hilarious stuff. The match starts off, though. It's really slow in the beginning. Josh Matthews and Joseph Park start off the match. And, Josh Matthews tries to take out Joseph Park. He hits a Josh kick on him. And then he eventually tries to hit a crossbody, and he ends up, just Joseph Park doesn't go down because he's too big. So then eventually he tags in Jeremy Borash, Josh Matthews tags in Scott Steiner, and Jeremy Borash gets scared, so he tags back Joseph Polk. Steiner and Joseph Polk go at it. Josh Matthews hits a knee right to the back of Joseph Polk. Steiner hits a clothesline on him, and then he throws Joseph Polk outside the ring. And then Josh Matthews hits a dive, taking out both Polk and Jeremy Borash. It was actually a pretty cool, damn cool dive. He actually was really athletic in this match. And then eventually, Scott Steiner grabs the guardrail and just chases Joseph Polk and Jeremy Borash with it, which was pretty funny. And they both go backstage, and then it kind of ends into this like it's like a movie type of production instead of a match. But this is still the match. Joseph Polk and Jeremy Borash is like, you know what? Screw this. I'm out of here. Joseph Polk's like, hey, wait for me. So they take off. Uh, Josh Matthews and Scott Steiner grab a golf cart, and they're just gonna go run them right over. And you hear Scott Steiner, they're driving the golf cart, and Scott Steiner's just like, fat asses. He just keeps screaming fat asses to them, which is what he's known for. And I thought that was hilarious. He just keeps screaming it over and over again. And then Jeremy Borash and Joseph Polk hide in the corner, and they grab a fire extinguisher and spray it at you know Josh Matthews and Scott Steiner, and then they take off, and then Scott Steiner's like, what happened? I'm all white or something. It was some funny joke. It was pretty damn funny. So then Scott Steiner and Josh Matthews they steal Dan Smiley's car. They throw him out of the car, and they drive off, and they keep saying, Scott Steiner just keeps saying, fat asses. And then he even asked Josh Matthews if the fire extinguisher turned him white, which I thought was hilarious. And then eventually they split up. So Scott Steiner's like, hey, they split up. You go after Joseph Polk. I'm going to go after you go after, Jeremy Borash. I'm going to go after Joseph Polk. So I'm just going to talk, because they both separate, so I'm just going to talk about the separation together. Jeremy Borash and Josh Matthews. Jeremy Borash is trying to get away from him. They fight by a swimming pool, and Josh Matthews goes to charge at him. Jeremy Borash backdrops him into the swimming pool, and then Jeremy Borash hits a flip West Coast pop right into the pool, and then they start fighting each other. Josh Matthews tries to drown Jeremy Borash into the pool, and then you see Shark Boy swimming in the pool. I don't make this stuff up. And I guess he bites Josh Matthews, and he's like, get the show out of here, Jeremy. And Josh Matthews like, something just bit me. So they run back to the arena, and then you see Scott Steiner and Joseph Polk fighting. Scott Steiner throws him through like this whiteboard, and he just is laid out. And then you see Father's James Mitchell, who used to be Abyss's manager, ask Joseph Polk to bring out the monster. And then it cuts back to the ring, and Jeremy Borash is still running away from Josh Matthews and Scott Steiner. They get back to the ring, but we don't see Joseph Polk, and they pick him apart. They actually bully around. I forget the guy's name, but the guy from the food that runs the Food Network, that's Gail Kim's husband. And Josh Matthews goes for a swanton bomb, but Jeremy Borash moves out of the way, and he hits a spear on him, just starts hitting right hands on him. Scott Steiner attacks him, and he wants to put him in the camel clutch, but Josh Matthews wants to do it himself, so he does so. And then Shock Boy comes out. He tries to make the save, but they beat him up, and they throw him out of the ring. Then Scott Steiner gets Jeremy Borash into the camel clutch, which looks pretty weak. And then who comes out? None other than Father James Mitchell. And he's out there with a bag of thumbtacks. And then from behind, Abyss comes out. He takes down Scott Steiner and Josh Matthews with double clotheslines. And then he starts going off on Josh Matthews. He goes for the choke slam on the thumbtacks, but Josh Matthews hits a low blow. Then Abyss hits the black hole slam under the tacks, and then Jeremy Borash goes up, hits the frog splash. while he's on the tax, and the thumbtacks gets caught in his hand, and Abyss makes the pin, gets the win, and Abyss, well, technically Joseph Polk and Jeremy Borash win this match, and afterwards they also Shock Boy, Father James Mitchell, Jeremy Borash, and Abyss all celebrate. I could technically say that it doesn't make any sense that Abyss made the pin since you know he since he wasn't in the match, but there was a lot of things about this match that didn't make sense that I'm not really going to comment on. But this match I thought was really damn fun. Once they started doing the stuff where they went backstage and started chasing each other with a golf cart, I thought that was hilarious, especially seeing Scott Steiner chase um, and Josh Matthews in the golf cart chasing him down, um, and hearing Scott Steiner say "badasses." That was just fucking hilarious. Like Scott Steiner is one of those wrestlers that's so bad when the fact that he is bad, it makes him really funny and good. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that was great. Hopefully they now though, because obviously I was just first seeing this feud, but I didn't kind of know about it. Hopefully now they can just put this feud to rest and just end it because there's no real need to do this feud anymore because it looks and he'll have Josh Matthews turn face again, I guess. But I thought this was a fun match. It didn't really need to be a match. It was just fun. This was hilarious and high comedy at its finest. And you know, I thought, did really well. I like the appearance of Shock Boy. I like the appearance of Father James Mitchell, Dan Smiley, the guy on the Food Network. I thought that was fun, and it was just had a lot of fun stuff in this match. I thought it was fun. All right, so next, Alberto El Patron, this piece of shit, gets interviewed, and he talks about how this is the biggest night of his life. And he says that tonight he's got his family backing me up, and he looks forward to kicking Lashley's ass in a ton of different ways. And then he talks about how Lashley could bring Donald Trump with him, and he would still kick his ass. And he's going to take and become the new Impact Wrestling, undisputed Impact Wrestling champion. Sorry. That was it. The promo actually was pretty good. Actually, this was the best promo I've ever seen Alberto El Patron cut in his career, and he's actually not that bad on the mic. It's just, he's just a douchebag. It's not gonna change. Um, I can't not think that he isn't a douchebag. That's just my opinion, though. Okay, so next was a intergender uh, Full Metal Mayhem tag team match. Um, Eddie and Alicia Edwards versus Davey Richards and Angelina Love. Uh, the story was there. Um, this match you had Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards, who were a tag team known as the American Wolves for years. They came into TNA in 2014. They had hold the TNA World Tag Team Championships 6 times, but then Davey Richards ended up getting injured. I don't exactly know when he got injured because this was a time frame where I wasn't watching TNA as much. Um, but then during his injury, Eddie Edwards became started to have some success as a single star. He defeated Lashley for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Um, and he was having some good matches as the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. And then eventually doing an Iron Man match against Lashley, Davey Richards cost Eddie Edwards the TNA World Heavyweight Championship to align himself with Angelina Love. Um, and Davey Richards was upset that Eddie Edwards never came and visited him while he was in the hospital and had all this success. And he talked about how he's the one that really created the American Wolves. And Eddie Edwards claimed that Davey Richards um, would has had Angelina Love just talking in his ear, making him think this stuff, which could be the case because that's what happens. Um, and then they would have matches on the TNA Impact Wrestling shows, and then eventually it just culminated here because they started getting Alicia um, involved. Angelina Love would attack her and stuff. After a last man standing match, Davey Richards put a chain around his neck and just kicked, Eddie Edwards' head off. So, that's had a great story behind it. Um, and I'm going to talk about the match itself and then give my thoughts on it. Before the match starts, Eddie and Alicia Edwards attack Davey Richards and Angelina Love from behind. Angelina Love and Alicia Edwards get into a pretty terrible brawl where they try to hit each other with trash can lids. Eddie Edwards hits a suicide dive onto Davey Richards on the outside, and then Angelina Love takes out, um, you know, Alicia Edwards. She throws her into the corner. Davey Richards hits like an exploder suplex on the Eddie Edwards right onto the floor from the apron. I thought that was pretty cool. And then Davey Richards and Angelina Love dominate the matchup. They attack, um, Eddie Edwards and beat the crap out of him, hit him with the chair, and they really just attack the Edwards. Um, and then Alicia Edwards hits a perfect plex onto a steel chair, and Eddie Edwards uses that same chair to hit Dave. No, Davey Richards uses the same chair to hit Eddie Edwards in the back with it, and then eventually the Edwards start to make a comeback. They beat the crap out of Angelina and Davey Richards with kendo sticks. They grab trash can legs and beat the crap out of them, just hit them simultaneously, and then they put a trash can on them and just beat the crap out of them with kendo sticks, and then Eddie Edwards power bombs Alicia Edwards onto Davey Richards, tries to go for a cover, but Davey Richards kicks out, and then um, Angelina Love takes out Alicia Edwards. She hits her off the back with a chair. DDTs her on the chair, and then eventually Eddie Edwards is acting like he's going for a brainbuster. Um, Angelina Love hits him while he has him up there for hits Eddie Edwards in the ribs with a kendo stick, and Eddie Edwards hits a pretty crappy brainbuster onto a chair. I thought that looked like crap. Um, and then he covers him. Eddie Edwards kicks out of it, and then Angelina Love grabs a cup of thumbtacks and just dumps it into Eddie Edwards' mouth, which I thought was kind of cool. And then Alicia Edwards hits a spear, and it just starts beating the crap out of Angelina Love. And then eventually the finish comes. Eddie Edwards is climbing up a ladder. Angelina Love got her nose busted open, and um, Alicia Edwards power bombs Angelina Love off the ladder. Eddie Edwards through a table. Eddie Edwards hits a sunset flip through another table. Covers the Davey Richards and gets the victory. And the Edwards go over win the match. This match was solid. Wasn't the greatest match. I think what hurt it was the placement on the card that it followed that epic, no disqualification tag team match. That this epicness of awesomeness. I also think what hurt it was this really should have been a one-on-one match between Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards. The culmination of that story. I think this. I know they've done those matches. They've done the last man standing matches. They've done. They've done a lot of matches between Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards, but I think that one of those matches should have been saved for here at Slammiversary, where they really could have had a big blow-off match in the feud, and I think it didn't really need to be an intergender tag team match. And it's kind of tough to do like these intergender tag team matches because of you have this whole thing where men can't really put their hands on women, but then it's so if the woman beats up the man in this match, the man can't retaliate, or else he's going to get looked down on, and people are going to be ashamed of him. And then the same thing can be said about the woman. The woman will get praised for beating up the man and for beating up the male and sticking up for herself, but which really shouldn't be the case. I know I just talked about it in my Alberto Up Patron video in the last video, but it really is kind of weird to do this match in the 21st century. This would have made more sense maybe to do this match in the 90s, where you could actually have all combatants go at it, because it's just kind of awkward that you have an intergender match, but today and the woman and males can't really interact, because this was really more of like a mixed tag version of it, because the woman only really fought the woman, the males only really fought the males. That's just kind of how it was, and yet again, still this should have been a one-on-one match between both members of the American Wolves and the final culmination of that feud. That's really what should have happened. And like I said, this match was just solid. It was really hurt by the fact that it followed an epic no disqualification tag team match. So that's just my opinion. I thought this match was solid, though. I did have some good stuff. I liked the thumbtack spot. I liked the um, I liked the spot where where the Edwards were beating the crap out of him with kendo sticks and stuff. So I liked it. I liked that they had some good stuff in this match, but really it was just a solid match, nothing really special, which is kind of a disappointing because this was a big storyline that TNA was doing for a while. So it's kind of disappointing. Okay, so next match was a 2 out of 3 falls match for the X Division Championship. X Division Champion Sanjay Dutt versus Loki. Um, and this has a pretty interesting story behind it. These were two guys that have pretty much been in TNA since the beginning, I'd say. Obviously, Loki left for a little while, and he's been there and back. Sanjay Dutt, same thing, but they're both in TNA. Loki had just recently returned in April of, I believe, of 2017, and he won the X Division Championship. He became a 5-time X Division champion, and he defended it. Sanjay Dutt had recently returned to TNA. He'd actually, I believe, I heard originally was offered a job in WWE, but he turned it down to work for TNA. So that's definitely some dedication to TNA because he would have been paid a lot more money to go to WWE. Probably could have joined the cruiserweight division down there, but it didn't happen. And Low Key just constantly, kept um, talking down on Sanjay Dutt, and he attacked him. He ended up injuring his eye. So then eventually, in his home country of India, Sanjay Dutt wanted a chance at the X Division Championship, and he got it. And in his home country of India, Sanjay Dutt ended up winning the X Division Championship, and Loki wanted his rematch in a 2 out of 3 falls match, and Sanjay Dutt granted it, and that's what kind of led us to this match. A pretty decent story behind it. And I thought this was a pretty solid match. Yeah, nothing fantastic, nothing great, but a pretty solid match. Um, I enjoyed it probably more than the Full Metal Mayhem match by miles, but I thought these two guys had pretty good chemistry with each other. Um, I don't get though why Loki they're trying to make him seem like he's a hitman by having him wrestling in a suit. It's just kind of weird, but they both start chain wrestling each other. Loki tries to get Sanjay Dutt into a cross arm breaker. Sanjay Dutt reverses it. Sanjay Dutt and him, after chain wrestling each other, eventually start to go for quick, fast paced action. Sanjay Dutt goes for his moonsault double stomp, but Loki moves out of the way. Loki hits a drop kick, driving him right into the ropes, which I thought was really cool. Sanjay Dutt hits Insuguri while Loki is on the second turnbuckle. He goes for a Hurricanrana, but Loki reverses it, lands on his feet and hits the Warrior's Way on him, covers him and gets the first fall. So then the referees count in, and if Sanjay Dutt doesn't get to his feet, Loki wins the match and wins the X Division Championship. But then San, Sanjay Dutt pulls Loki out of the ring, and he hits a dive through the ropes onto Loki, and then eventually Loki gets the upper hand, throws him back first into the guardrail, and he goes to hit um, suplex into the apron, but Sanjay Dutt tries to counter it. Loki throws him back first into the turnbuckle, not the turnbuckle, but the ring post, and Loki just starts dominating this matchup. Then eventually, Sanjay Dutt goes for um, a, a second Warrior's Way, but then Loki moves out of the way. He ends up hurting his knee, and he acts like his knee is hurt. So then eventually, he uses the referee, pushes him right in front of Sanjay Dutt, and he hits a springboard back kick, hits springboard like front kick on him, covers him. Sanjay Dutt kicks out. He gets him into a submission. Um, and Loki's able to count. Sanjay Dutt's able to counter it. Loki goes for the Warrior's Way while Sanjay Dutt's on the steps, but Sanjay Dutt moves out of the way, and then eventually he puts Loki into a Boston Crab, and then he turns it into a half Boston Crab with the injured leg, and Sanjay Dutt's able to counter it. Then he goes for a submission himself. Sanjay Dutt reverses it into a roll up and gets the victory. And then the match starts really to go back and forth. So, Loki takes off his suit jacket. He takes off his hand and starts wearing away on right hand onto Sanjay Dutt. And eventually the finish comes when Loki goes for the Warriors Way a second time. Sanjay Dutt moves out, hits like a big throw with holding his tie. And then Loki hits a moonsault double stomp for the win. He gets the second fall and he retains the X Division Championship. But I thought this was a pretty solid matchup here, a pretty decent X Division title match, and a pretty, I thought they both tried to tell a story in this match, and I thought it was pretty decent, so I enjoyed it. Okay, so next we had the first of two title for title unification matches, and this one was the Women's Championship unification match. It was G.F.W. Women's Champion Sienna versus Impact Knockouts Champion Rosemary. Really don't know the story for this match. They were just both unified in the championship since G.F.W. pretty much had went under, so they had merged the championships. Yeah. Rosemary, though, I think is a really interesting character. I actually like that character a lot. The one thing that I even would watch clips of TNA for would be for Rosemary. That would be some of the things I would watch it for. So I think that's pretty cool. And Rosemary's entrance was awesome. She comes out in a bunch of these like women that are like I would say maybe like zombies or from the movie Evil Dead, whatever one you want. Just surround her, and I thought that was an awesome entrance. Um, and yeah, Rosemary just seems like she's just a really interesting character. Gail Kim came out to present the winner with the championships. Gail Kim was on this show. They really didn't do anything much. She really didn't play much of a factor on this show. You would have thought that because Gail Kim was there, she would have been utilized a lot more, but I guess not. Um, and yeah, this match here, they both start chain wrestling each other. Um, and right when the match really gets going, um, Laura Van Ness and what was the other guy's name? He's a new TNA guy. Um, like he's just very new. I have to look him up real quick because I thought I remember his name. What's his? Not him. What's his name? KM. That's his name. Sorry, I'm not gonna edit this out because I don't care. But KM was his name, and they come out immediately right when the match starts, and Laura Van Ness is doing this whole gimmick where she's like nuts, because Braxton Sutter didn't refuse to marry her because he admitted he loved Allie, and she pretty much went crazy. So she's wearing the same wedding dress, and it's a gimmick that it's just not working. And she's like holding on the which ironically enough, Laura Van Ness is now dating Zack Ryder, and she's in this storyline. So I have a feeling once her contract runs out, she'll probably go over to WWE, so she could be with Zack Ryder. But she holds the ropes, and this causes Sienna to fall out. So Sienna tells her to leave, and they get into an altercation. KM has to pick her up, and they leave. And during this commotion, Rosemary hits a dive off the top turnbuckle, and she just really beats the crap out of Sienna. Sienna dominates the matchup for a few minutes, and I personally didn't really think Sienna was all that talented. A lot of the moves that she hit just didn't really impress me. Rosemary was the one that was the star in this match. There was a spot where she got like big booted in the face or something, and she sat down like with her legs behind her, and then sat right back up, and then Sienna hit a big boot. I thought that was pretty cool. But the match continues. I really don't remember a lot about it, but it was like a back and forth match. Sienna hits like a big shoulder block. That's like a finisher. Covers her. Rosemary kicks out. Rosemary hits the red wedding, which is pretty much an F5. Earl Hebner tries to make the count. Laura Van Ness distracts him. And Allie tries to run out with a kendo stick and attack and go and chases after Laura Van Ness. Sienna tries to cheat the win by hitting Rosemary off the head with the G.F.W. Women's Championship, and she tries to make the pinfall, but Rosemary kicks out. Then eventually Rosemary sets up to spit the mist in her face, and Sienna sees it coming, so she puts her hand over her mouth, but this ends up hurting Sienna's hand because of this mist. Sienna tries to go for the red wedding again, and Rosemary, and then Sienna counters it into a submission move. And Rosemary, this creepy woman, ends up tapping out, which was stupid. So Sienna becomes both the Impact and G.F.W. Women's Champion. I thought this was pretty stupid. One person went over, and you have this creepy woman tapping out. I thought the match was just not good, and I didn't really care much for it. So that's just my thoughts. Okay, so next Jeff Jarrett comes out, and he pretty much talks about how great of a night tonight is. He talks about how he's got his family here. Karen Jarrett's backstage, and how he has his wrestling family. How 15 years ago he started um, a dream, and it became reality, and it became something special. Which he's referring obviously to Impact Wrestling, which kind of isn't the case. Um, and then finally he says that he thanks everybody that's ever pretty much talked about Impact Wrestling over social media, and he pretty much gloats about the main event, and that was it. Really, no need for this. Obviously, he was just out there, kind of felt like he was kind of bragging and a little bit, so it was what it was. Really, no need for him to be out there, but it was whatever. This would have probably been better off in the beginning of the show. I don't know why they didn't just put it there. Um, but yeah, I was starting to think that Impact Wrestling wasn't rebranded into GFW. So because it has the Impact Wrestling, it says it on the microphone and it says it all over. But maybe this is going to be the last night where Impact Wrestling is Impact Wrestling, and on the following show there'll be GFW. So I'm just going to write Impact Wrestling, um, Slammiversary review, because it seems like that's the company name they're going by tonight. Okay, so then we had the main event. It was a title for title unification match. Impact World Heavyweight Champion Lashley versus GFW World Heavyweight Champion Alberto El Patron. Lashley was being accompanied by Kin Mo, and Alberto El Patron was being accompanied by his father, Dos Caras. Kin Mo's obviously, a huge MMA fighter. Remember when they tried to put him into TNA back in like 2012, 2011? That didn't work. And Dos Caras is obviously a wrestling legend. So, yeah. Um, and the build up to this match pretty much was because Lashley was a dominant Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion. He dominated everybody and took out everybody. And he was the top guy in Impact Wrestling. And then finally on March 9th, 2017, Alberto El Patron made his debut into Impact Wrestling. And finally, he defeated Lashley via shenanigans since he hit him over the skull with the championship. But he defeated Lashley to become the new Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion. And then eventually, Bruce Pritchard, because of that controversy, Alberto El Patron had to vacate the championship, and it would go right back to Lashley. So that's ended up being what happened. And then eventually, Alberto El Patron won the GFW World Heavyweight Championship, and the title unification match pretty much was set for Slammiversary. This match made sense since Alberto El Patron had to give up a championship that he never lost. Alberto El Patron even talked about how he came to Impact Wrestling to find his passion again for professional wrestling. So overall, I enjoyed the build up, and as much of a douchebag that I think Alberto El Patron is. And if you don't want to know why I think that, please make sure that you click on this video right there because I will explain why. Um, I can't deny that seeing him now in Impact Wrestling, being able to kind of, you know, cut his own promos and stuff now, makes me realize that there was talent in Alberto El Patron. That he actually does have some talent. I think he's pretty good on the mic. But then we have the match itself. Jeff Jarrett presents the championships, and the match was announced by Jeremy Borash, which was kind of weird since he was just in a match earlier. And both participants start chain wrestling each other. Both of them exchange kicks on each other. Um, El Patron hits a kick. Lashley goes for a right hand. El Patron hits one himself, and then eventually he hits a clothesline onto Lashley, and eventually Lashley gets the upper hand. He bounces Alberto El Patron's head off the announcer's table repeatedly, and behind the referee's back, Kinbo does this bounces El Patron's head off the announcer's table. So Dos Caras hits a chop on him, and then Lashley throws El Patron into the guardrail. Then he hits a power slam and he throws him into the some wind post. Then he hits a power slam onto the steel steps, puts him in the wind, covers him. El Patron kicks out. Alberto El Patron hits a DDT, covers him. Lashley kicks out, and Alberto El Patron starts to make his comeback. And the match is really starting to go back and forth. Alberto El Patron hit a tornado DDT into a kick to the head. Lashley kicked out. El Patron hit a double stomp while Lashley was propped up against the ropes. Lashley kicked out. Lashley hit a spine buster and a power slam again. El Patron kicked out. Alberto El Patron hit a what else? Lashley hit a wicked suplex on him. Patron kicked out. Alberto El Patron got him into a cross arm breaker. Lashley fought out of it. Lashley hit a electric chair. He hit a Death Valley driver from the second turnbuckle. El Patron kept kicking out. Lashley got Alberto El Patron into a cross arm breaker himself. And Alberto El Patron hit a powerbomb to fight out of it. Lashley hit a spear. El Patron kicked out. He went for another spear. El Patron reversed it into a drop kick. And then eventually they fight on the outside. Some more. Alberto El Patron goes for a suicide dive. He ends up crashing on the floor. And then Kid Mo tries to put his hands on Alberto El Patron, but Dos Caras hits a low blow on him. And then Lashley kind of roughs up Dos Caras a little bit. And this distracts Lashley while Alberto El Patron hits an Enzuigiri in the corner. And then in the double stomp from the second turnbuckle for the win. And Alberto El Patron wins, and he becomes the unified Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion. And afterwards, Jeff Jarrett, Sanjay Dutt, and various wrestlers who were there throughout the night come out. Even Karen Jarrett and Jeff Jarrett's family come out, and Alberto El Patron's brother comes out, and they celebrate with him. And then that was it. It was actually a pretty decent ending. I felt like there should have been something more about what happened, but the ending I still thought worked. I actually liked this match here, and it definitely showed that Alberto El Patron did have some talent that WWE kind of missed out on, I think, a little bit. But obviously, everyone knows afterwards that after the show goes off the air, Alberto El Patron pretty much shits on WWE, which he needs to stop doing. Um, and yeah, he kind of shows why he is a douchebag. So yeah, and it's really hard for me too to cheer for Alberto El Patron after everything that I heard that he's done to Paige and everything, but not really going to cover too much about it. But overall, I thought this was a pretty good. I thought this was a really good uh, main event here. I really enjoyed it. I just thought there should have been something more in this match. Maybe somebody comes out and does something because it just kind of felt like the match ended and it didn't really feel like it was anything big happened afterwards. I think like they should have done something huge, but other than that, I enjoyed the match. Um, it really is a shame though what happened because, like I said, Impact Wrestling tried to rebrand itself to G.F.W. And then obviously we know what happened with Alberto El Patron and Paige. I talked about that video in my last video, which you can check out again right up here. Um, so it is kind of a shame that Alberto El Patron ended up having all that happen because now he's suspended. But then, yeah, pretty much it's Impact Wrestling's own fault for not really doing a good enough um, search on them, so it is what it is. But yeah, overall good main event. All right, so now I'm going to give you my star ratings for each match and then go over my overall thoughts on the show. So for the pre-show match, I actually never watched it because I didn't know there was a pre-show. For the Impact Wrestling World and G.F.W. Tag Team Championship match, I'm probably going to rate that match 3 stars. I thought that was a good opening tag team match there. For the tag team match on this show, I'm going to rate that match 3.5 star, maybe 3.25 stars. I thought that was a really fun match. For the strap match, I'm also going to rate that match 3.25 stars. I thought that was about the same level of quality. It would have been better if it didn't have a fuck finish. For the no disqualification tag team match, I'm going to rate that match 3.75 stars because I thought that was a really fun match and it was just fun. For the Full Metal Mayhem match, I'm going to rate that match 2 stars. That was really just an average match there. Um, for the X Division Championship match, I'm going to rate that match um, 2.75 stars. I thought that was a pretty solid X Division Championship match. For the women's match, I'm going to probably rate that match a star and a quarter because that really wasn't that good of a match. And the one person went over. And then for the title for title unification match, I'll probably rate that match 3.5 stars. I thought that was a really good main event and it had a you know uh, good ending. Um, yeah, so that's pretty much my star ratings. I'll post those down in the description box. Um, and my overall thoughts on the show, I actually thought this was a pretty good show. I think this is the best pay per view and that TNA Impact Wrestling G.F.W has put on in quite a while. I don't remember the last time I enjoyed it. I remember I didn't really enjoy TNA Bound for Glory 2016 that much. I didn't enjoy Slammiversary well, I didn't watch it last year, but I did enjoy it 2 years ago. Um, I didn't enjoy TNA Bound for Glory 2015. I thought that was crap. Um, but I thought this was actually a pretty fun show. It definitely kind of felt like that this was a different, that TNA kind of was rebranded itself. I didn't really feel like it was the same TNA as it's always been because that's why when I watched it when it premiered on Pop TV, um, it wasn't that it was a bad show, but it didn't really feel like there was anything different and anything keeping wanted intriguing me to watch. I feel like now I kind of should start watching GFW Impact Wrestling every Thursday now, and that's exactly what you're gonna get. You're gonna get Impact GFW Impact Wrestling reviews every Thursday because I actually thought this was a pretty enjoyable show. Wasn't like a fantastic show or anything, but it was a pretty enjoyable show. It's actually better than the pay-per-views that WWE have been putting out as of late. I'm not lying. This was. If I had to rate this show, I'll probably rate this show a 7 out of 10. I thought this was a good show here. Nothing fantastic, but it was a good show. I've had some good matches on this show. It had some, I um had, and there really wasn't any like the only bad match was really the women's match, but there really wasn't anything really bad on the show. So overall, that's pretty much my thoughts on Impact Wrestling Slammiversary. But that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please make sure to subscribe to my CM Brothers and Owen the Talkinator YouTube channels. Make sure to subscribe to this channel for more content. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.